Shankar meet, their second one in 2 months. This was on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. Also in focus, what's the Burevestnik missile? It's Russia's new deadly missile and Putin's message to the world. Why Mohammad Yunus gifted an anti-India map to Pakistan's top general. What is driving India's luxury boom? How the molestation of Australian women cricketers in Indore has embarrassed all of India. Why they see dogs joining security forces is a story to celebrate. Who is Albania's minister who's quote-unquote pregnant with 83 children? That's what their prime minister said. And while luxury car makers like Porsche and Mercedes have hit reverse gear in profits. All this and more lined up, the headlines first. In India, the Election Commission announces a voter survey across the country. It's phase 2 of the special intensive revision of electoral rolls. 12 states and union territories with more than 50 crore voters will be covered. The last such exercise was done more than 20 years ago. India and China resumed direct flights after 5 years. Air services between Kolkata and Guangzhou began yesterday. Direct flights between Delhi and Shanghai will resume in November. COVID halted flight operations between the two countries. The services remain suspended after the border clashes in 2020. Donald Trump says he will not hold talks with Canada for quote-unquote a while. The Canadian Prime Minister had offered an olive branch to resume trade talks, but Trump has announced that he will increase tariffs on Canada after the province of Ontario ran an anti-tariff ad featuring Ronald Reagan. Argentina's President Javier Milei hails his party's victory in Sunday's midterm election. He has vowed to continue his reform agenda of slashing state spending and deregulating the economy. US President Trump, a close ally, congratulated Milei after his party's win. And Cameroon's President Paul Biya is re-elected for an 8th term. The opposition candidate has rejected the poll results. On Sunday, his supporters clashed with the police. At least 4 people were killed in the violence. 92-year-old Biya is the world's oldest serving head of state.
China, 67%. That's tariff.
The US-China trade war seems to be heading for another pause. Donald Trump is in Asia. He's set to meet Xi Jinping on Thursday. Ahead of that meeting, American and Chinese officials met in Malaysia. This was on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. Trump was there too, but he did not attend this meeting. It was his Treasury Secretary who took the lead. And what was the outcome? Well, there's no deal yet. All they have for now is a framework, a temporary truce of sorts, and an agreement to keep talking.
Successful framework for the leaders to discuss on Thursday. We discussed trade, rare earths, the fentanyl, TikToks, and the overall relationship between the two countries.
That was Scott Bessent. He is the US Treasury Secretary. He is leading the negotiations for America. He calls the framework successful. But when you go through the fine print, you see a different story. The US is quietly stepping back from many of its hardline positions. Number one, the threat of higher tariffs is gone. Trump wanted to raise tariffs on China. He threatened an additional 100% tariff. Trump wanted to punish China for restricting rare earth supplies to the US. And this has been a contentious issue. The rare earths. China has been using rare earths as leverage. It has restricted supplies to the United States. Beijing even cracked down on secondary supplies. It reached out to countries like India. China asked countries like India for a guarantee that they won't buy from Beijing and ship those supplies to the US. Obviously, Trump did not take this kindly. He threatened a fresh round of tariffs. They were supposed to kick in on the 1st of November, but now they're off the table, at least for the moment. So that's the first concession from the US. Trump will not impose more tariffs. What about the existing trade curbs? That's where Washington made its second concession. It may ease some of the chip exports to Beijing. There's no official communication on this yet, but American officials have been dropping hints. They say they have found a way to balance the trade deficit with China. How? by selling more goods from the US. So those are the two concessions from the United States of America. They're going easy on the tariffs and they may lift some export curbs. What is the US getting in return? Not much. China has not made any significant climb down. For instance, on rare earths, China has curbed supplies to the US like we just mentioned. It has now agreed to delay the curbs. So at best, it's a pause. It's not an assured relief. Second, China promised to buy more soybean from the US. Now, this is politically significant for President Trump. His key constituencies are farming states, states like Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana. They are key vote banks for Trump. They produce soybean. China was their biggest buyer. When China stopped buying, it hurt these states. Now Beijing could resume, but again, there's a catch. China has made this promise before, a promise it did not keep. So the US would be wary. Apart from rare earths and soybean, there's also the deal on TikTok. Trump wants it to be American-owned. He wants TikTok in American hands. His team says a final agreement will be consummated this week. That means a formal transfer of TikTok's US operations to an American-controlled entity. But even this deal has been dragging on for months. TikTok is facing a ban in the United States. They have been given an extension 4 times. They have time till December to transfer operations. And I guess that's the biggest problem with this framework. Nothing is set in stone. There are no deadlines, there are no clear commitments, and the language is vague. But Trump, being Trump, is calling it a win. Listen in.
We have China coming, and it's going to be very interesting. I have a lot of respect for President Xi, and we are going to, I think we're going to come away with a deal. But I really feel good. Our country is doing so well economically.
China's reaction is also worth noting. They've issued a vague statement. It says, and I quote, both negotiating teams reached a basic consensus on arrangements to address their respective concerns. I guess they're being careful. They're waiting to see what happens on Thursday. That's when both leaders are slated to meet, Trump and Xi. Also, this so-called truce has a fundamental problem. It does not resolve the core issues. The rebalancing of trade ties, the national security concerns, and Trump's grand plans to reset the world supply chains. This framework addresses none of those issues. It fails to lay out the path ahead. Meanwhile, Trump's tactics are shifting from maximum pressure to a manageable compromise. He started this trade war, and he's the one making a retreat.
I'm not used to that when I do these deals. Usually there's a lot of hatred. They like each other.
Donald Trump arrived in Asia with a mission. 3 countries, 3 agendas, but 1 mission. To remind the world that he is the deal maker in chief. We'll start with Malaysia. It was the first stop and arguably the most theatrical. Trump landed in Malaysia over the weekend and it was straight to business, but not without a celebratory dance. You have to see this one. The first agenda item was a signing ceremony. It involved Thailand, Cambodia, and the host nation, Malaysia. Thailand and Cambodia inked a ceasefire. The White House called it a historic peace accord. The 2 Asian neighbors, Thailand and Cambodia, have been at odds since July this year. They have an old border dispute. It flared up briefly, and it ended under US pressure. It ended after Trump threatened sanctions and tariffs. So a peace deal was brokered.
This is a momentous day for all of the people of Southeast Asia as we sign a historic agreement to end the military conflict between Cambodia and Thailand.
Trump got the credit, and here in Malaysia, he grabbed the headlines too. For the US president, it was proof that the art of the deal still sells, even if the ink on the paper masks the cracks. The other thing on the agenda was the ASEAN summit. That's why Trump was in Malaysia in the first place, for the ASEAN summit. ASEAN stands for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It is a regional grouping of 11 countries. ASEAN was formed in the year 1967 as a Cold War buffer. It has always prized quiet diplomacy over confrontation. But in recent years, its relevance has been questioned. Why? Because of its inability to stop conflicts. Whether it's Myanmar civil war or the South China Sea disputes, ASEAN has failed to resolve them. It is often seen as a talk shop. But Trump's visit changed that, at least temporarily. His attendance turned it into a global spectacle where deals were signed. East Timor officially joined the bloc. East Timor is Asia's youngest nation. Now, that led to emotional speeches, teary applause, and even some banter and jokes.
World needs leaders who promote peace strongly, and to achieve that, you have to break some rules, as you did today. When President arrived, he asked me to join him in the car. I said that's against the security and protocol rules. And he was delighted to break the rules, and I...
Nice ride.
It was a nice ride. And we share a lot of things in common. I was in prison, but he almost got there.
It was a rare moment of unity, especially for a region that often struggles to find common ground. But behind the smiles and speeches was Trump's diplomacy, a signature blend of pressure and persuasion. He followed with trade announcements, new US deals with Thailand, Cambodia and Malaysia, all seen as rewards for cooperation. The message, you could say, was unmistakable: make peace, get business. And Asian economies were happy to play along. Trump left Malaysia boasting of, and I'm quoting, boasting of hundreds of billions in investments. The figures are vague, but the symbolism was enough.
My message to the nations of Southeast Asia is that the United States is with you 100%, and we intend to be a strong partner and friend for many generations to come. 1 year ago, we were in a different position, but now we're in the best position we've ever been. And
from there, it was on to the second leg of the trip, and that's Japan. Trump arrived in Tokyo to a carefully choreographed welcome. He was greeted by Emperor Naruhito. The US president even sported a gold tie. The two leaders met at the Imperial Palace. But the real spotlight is on Japan's new Prime Minister. Her name is Sanae Takaichi. She is the country's first woman leader, also a rising conservative star whose politics aligns with Trump's. So this meeting, her meeting with Trump, will be her trial by fire. Trump wants Japan to pay more for American security. There are some 53,000 US troops stationed in Japan. Trump wants more money for this deployment. And Takaichi wants a cut in car tariffs, a deal that would boost Japanese car makers like Toyota, Honda and Nissan. From Japan, Trump will head to Seoul. That's the final leg of his three-nation tour. South Korea is desperate to clinch a trade deal with the US. Talks to lower US tariffs on Korean exports have stalled. But the big wild card is not trade. It's Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader. Trump has hinted that he might extend his trip to meet Kim.
I haven't mentioned it, I haven't said anything, but I'd love to meet with him if he'd like to meet. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. I liked him, he liked me. If he wants to meet, I'll be in South Korea.
Would you extend your trip in Asia in order to meet with him?
Well, I hadn't thought of it, but I think the answer would be, yeah, I would do that, sure. It's our last stop, so it's pretty easy to do. Yeah, I would do that.
When you do meet with
The last time Trump met Kim was in the year 2019. It was at the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, which is in fact a militarized buffer zone between the two Koreas, North and South. So could a meeting happen again? We don't want to hazard a guess, but we do know that Trump loves surprises, and a second historic photo with Kim would make global headlines. If he doesn't meet Kim, he will still claim that he could have. Either way, the tour will end on Donald Trump's terms, and maybe that's the real deal. Not the peace or the tariffs or the trade, but the attention that the US president is getting. Because in Trump's world, relevance is power.
India, wonderful relationship.
There's a flurry of diplomacy in Malaysia, and some of it also includes India. As you know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not in Kuala Lumpur. He sent his foreign minister instead. And this morning, Minister Jaishankar had a crucial meeting. On the other side was his US counterpart, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, basically the American foreign minister. This was their second meeting in 2 months. Jaishankar and Rubio also met in New York in the month of September. So quick back-to-back meetings. And what did they discuss? I presume a lot. But the statements do not reflect that. Look at Minister Jaishankar's post afterwards. This is what he wrote. Glad to meet Secretary Rubio, appreciated the discussion on our bilateral ties as well as regional and global issues. That's a short and vague statement, perhaps by design. And Rubio? Well, he hasn't said anything yet, nor has the State Department, which is strange considering the present situation. You see, India-US ties are on a downward spiral. Donald Trump has imposed 50% tariffs on Indian exports. That's 25% so-called reciprocal tariffs, plus another 25% for buying Russian oil. Both sides are quietly working on a mini trade deal, but Trump is making random claims. He says India has promised to stop buying Russian oil. That's a claim that India has not confirmed yet. And that's the first problem between New Delhi and Washington. The second problem is Pakistan. Trump says he negotiated a ceasefire between India and Pakistan this summer. Again, it's a claim that has been denied by India repeatedly. Trump is also cozying up to Islamabad. Look at what he said in Kuala Lumpur yesterday. He was talking about the clashes between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and Trump was all praise for Islamabad's leader.
Although I heard that Pakistan and Afghanistan have started up, but I'll get that solved very quickly. I know them both, and the Pakistan, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister are great people, and I have no doubt we're going to get that done quickly.
Same with Secretary Rubio. Before meeting Jaishankar, he spoke about Pakistan. He was asked a simple question. Will the outreach to Pakistan hurt US ties with India? Rubio tried to assure New Delhi. He said US-Pakistan ties would not come at the expense of India.
We see an opportunity to expand our strategic relationship with Pakistan. It's part of a mature, pragmatic foreign policy. I don't think anything we're doing with Pakistan comes at the expense of our relationship or friendship with India, which is deep, historic, and important.
So Rubio is trying to assure India. The question is, will New Delhi buy it? Well, words alone are not enough. India will be looking for concrete action from Trump and his team. Like, will they stop claiming credit for the India-Pakistan truce? Will Trump stop hyphenating India and Pakistan? Will he stop arming Islamabad? Will he stop calling Pakistan's leaders great people? If yes, then India will buy it. But right now, we haven't seen indications of any of that. Look at Trump's actions since taking office. In February, he announced a $400 million military package for Pakistan. It was meant to upgrade their F-16 fleet. And remember the context. The same Trump has cancelled humanitarian aid to dozens of countries. He put a freeze on most aid payments, but he made an exception for a country like Pakistan. And Islamabad will be angling for more. Just look at their Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif. His favorite pastime is praising Trump. Let me read out from his message today. My deep appreciation to President Donald Trump for his instrumental role in advancing peace through the Kuala Lumpur Accord, the Gaza Peace Plan, and his resolute efforts for peace and stability in the Middle East and South Asia, saving millions of lives across the globe. Spare a thought for Sharif. At home, he's constantly praising his army chief. Abroad, he's praising Donald Trump. It's like he's stuck in an endless loop of flattery. But like I said, Pakistan will be angling for more. Maybe more US weapons, maybe more US aid, maybe more US political support. And despite what Rubio says, this will worry India. Which raises the big question. How is India handling this situation? On the one hand, India is hoping to seal a trade deal with the United States. Reports say both sides are working on a draft. If true, we could see some progress. On the other hand, India is also diversifying its ties. Today, India and China resumed direct flights after 5 years. A passenger plane flew from Kolkata to Guangzhou. It's a big moment in the Delhi-Beijing reset. And that sums up India's strategy. Never put all your eggs in one basket, no matter whose basket it is. And who knows, maybe a trade deal will be clinched in the coming days. Maybe Trump will calm down the rhetoric. But trust, that's a tougher negotiation. Our next story is from Russia. It has tested a nuclear-powered cruise missile and it's making headlines across the world. The missile is called Burevestnik. One expert describes it, and I'm quoting, as a tiny flying Chernobyl. Russian President Putin announced the test himself. Moscow says the missile flew over 14,000 kilometers. It remained airborne for 15 hours and it ran on a miniature nuclear reactor. This means this missile has virtually unlimited range and the ability to dodge even the most powerful missile defenses. Now, this test has delivered two objectives for President Putin. He's flexing his military muscle and he's extending an invite for a dialogue. Our next report explains why.
Russia has just tested a new weapon, and this one is unlike anything in the world. It's called the Burevestnik. NATO calls it Skyfall. The name means storm petrel, a bird that flies ahead of storms. It's a fitting description, because this missile signals trouble ahead. President Putin announced the test himself, on camera, in military uniform, flanked by his generals.
Сколько тысяч километров? 14 тысяч. 14 тысяч. И в воздухе находилось?
Ну, около 15 часов.
И это не предел?
Не предел.
Да. Нам нужно будет, Валерий Алексеевич, определиться, на что это такое, к какому классу оружия эта новая система относится. Надо определить возможные способы применения и начать готовить инфраструктуру для размещения этого оружия в наших вооруженных силах.
Есть.
Russia says the missile stayed in the air for 15 hours. It traveled 8,700 miles. But here's what stands out. The missile Shershit was powered by a miniature nuclear reactor. This is what makes the Burevestnik different. Most missiles rely on conventional fuel. This one runs on nuclear energy. That gives it unlimited range. It can fly for days, circle the globe, and hit targets from unpredictable angles. The engine uses superheated air, blasted out from a reactor. Some call it a tiny flying Chernobyl. That's how a nuclear expert described this weapon.
So this missile is really like a small airplane. It has a jet engine on it. And just like a jet engine uses fuel to burn oxygen, this does exactly the same thing, but it uses a nuclear reactor to burn the oxygen and produce the thrust.
Russia says the missile can evade any defense system, including the Golden Dome, that Trump claimed would make America invincible. But here's the risk. It leaves a radioactive trail in flight, and the longer it flies, the more chance there is of something going wrong. This project has already claimed lives. In 2019, an explosion killed 5 Russian scientists during a test. So why is Russia showing it off now? For Putin, it's a message to the West. His talks with Trump collapsed weeks ago, and this test came right after that. Putin said the weapon is unique, and he's now preparing to deploy it in combat units. He's also offered to extend the New START Treaty, the last remaining nuclear arms agreement with the U.S. So this is a double signal, a show of force, and an open door for talks. But experts are alarmed. Some call Russia's move destabilizing. Others say it's a science fiction nightmare turned real. Because this is what a 21st century arms race looks like. A nuclear missile that never needs to land. That could fly for days and strike from any direction. Russia calls it a shield, but to the West it looks like a threat.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
When he said that the state governments will also have to cooperate with the Election Commission on the SIR issue, and I think that was a hint being made at the West Bengal government where it's become a political issue. In fact, taking on the Election Commission in some cases, kind of attacking the EC officials, that seems to have been the hallmark of much of the attempts which has been made by the SIR. So they're saying that, the entire purpose of this SIR is not because we want to target any one political party or any one particular state, and even if they happen to be in the opposition. He made that point when he said that, there has been a lot of political comments and I don't want to comment on that. So what is the point over here is that the entire purpose of this revision is to ensure that one, people's names are there on the voters list, those who are eligible for it. And second, if there's a multiplicity where, one person is registered in 2-3 addresses or many people are registered to one address, those who even expired, those who have got married into another family and migrated to another states, their names are also not duplicated onto a voters list, and this is an exercise which has to be carried on periodically. So where is the politics in all of this? But as you pointed out, Ayushman, I can see through the list that there are states like Kerala, West Bengal, and those are the states where, and Tamil Nadu, of course, where all three of them are happening to be poll-bound states for 2026. If this is one issue which really brought the entire India bloc together, which we saw in the monsoon session of Parliament, it was a SIR. So we'll have to wait to see, one, during the winter session of Parliament, if this is going to be taken up yet again, another issue. And the second important thing is that does the India bloc now plan to unite once again to come out with a campaign or movement across the country against this fresh SIR?
Absolutely, because the states involved were quite outliers when it comes to multiple issues that would hit the India bloc, the DMK as well as the TMC. We always saw issue-based support in having a united front with the India bloc. But could this unite those kind of power players when it comes to India politics? And Kamalika, coming to you on that point, the TMC, so many questions being posed about West Bengal to the Chief Election Commissioner. Currently, we're also learning that the Bengal CEO has called for an all-party meeting for the smooth functioning of the SIR exercise. What are the rumblings that you are learning from the state of West Bengal, which has pretty much declared war against the special intensive revision?
Oh, it's rumbling all around. Let me first tell you that as we pointed out, tomorrow is the day when there will be all-party meeting in ECI, where right now I am standing, Bengal Chief Electoral Officer office. Here, all-party meeting has been called off by the Bengal CEO. So all the political parties will come, and obviously they will actually present their version of it. But clearly, this is, though, most of the questions were regarding West Bengal, and the CEC Gyanesh Kumar, he said that the law and order is a state subject and obviously this type of situation will not arise. But politically, clearly, the state's ruling party, they are opposing SIR. None other than the Chief Minister has said that SIR is a sort of NRC. All these types of statements have been on. And as the SIR has just been rolled out, has just been declared, it's quite clear that the Trinamool Congress, nowhere they are going to change their stand. They are saying that if bona fide voters' names are deleted, they are going to go and do everything for that. So they have already lined up rallies and meetings. They will definitely attend this all-party meeting and will actually try to weigh the water, what's actually happening. But the perception from the ruling party is clear. They are going to oppose it at any cost. On the other hand, the big development always is also on the other side that the BJP, they are absolutely supporting the entire process of SIR. They are on their point that 1 crore, more than 1 crore voters' names will be deleted, and there it will be proved that West Bengal, a lot of voters are from outsiders. There are a lot of fake voters and all these things. So the political war is on. The political war of the Battle of Bengal of 2026 has just started, and the rumblings is that definitely Trinamool Congress, they are not going to support SIR in any way. On the other hand, the BJP is going to support. Now we'll have to see how all this implementation takes on ground. What are the number of BLOs which goes out for them to give the enumeration form? What happens when they goes out in each and every house? They will go 3 times. So everything is there, everything is said, but the big question definitely is the implementation part. Politics in one side will go on, but what happens on ground practically, that is to be
Have you heard of a lame duck in politics? It usually refers to an outgoing leader. They're not contesting elections, they're not staying in office. Such leaders are seen as powerless lame ducks, basically placeholders for the next leader. But try telling that to Bangladesh's lame duck. I'm talking about Mohammad Yunus. He has announced elections in February next year, February 2026. He has no plans of contesting, or so he says, yet he is making far-reaching policy decisions. Look at what he did over the weekend. On Saturday, Yunus hosted a top Pakistani general in Dhaka, General Sahir Shamshad Mirza. He is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. On paper, he's more powerful than Army Chief Asim Munir. That's how senior this general is. He also met Bangladesh's Navy and Air Force chiefs. The talks covered a number of issues like bilateral investment, military cooperation and connectivity. And that's Pakistan for you. Their politicians do not drive foreign policy, their generals do. And this is not a one-off either. Multiple defense delegations have traveled from Pakistan to Bangladesh in recent months. Some of them also trained Bangladeshi soldiers. But this was the senior-most delegation. It is part of Dhaka's continued outreach to Pakistan, the same Pakistan that massacred its people in 1971. Under Mohammad Yunus, that history has been brushed under the rug. Instead, it's full steam ahead. Look at all his moves in the last 1 year. Pakistanis no longer need security clearance to visit Bangladesh. Earlier, they would be vetted before getting a visa, but now that's not required. Pakistani officials don't even need a visa. They can simply walk into Dhaka. Yunus has also started a direct maritime route to Pakistan, meaning that ships sail directly from Pakistan to Bangladesh. And this is new. In the past, these countries only had indirect trade. Also on the cards is direct flights. A Dhaka-Karachi route is expected to start in 2 months. And finally, trade curbs have been lifted. Earlier, Pakistani goods would be physically inspected in Dhaka, but that's not mandatory anymore. In this time, political contacts have also grown in the last 1 year. Yunus has met Pakistan's Prime Minister thrice. The most recent meeting happened only last month. He also has a standing invitation to visit Islamabad soon. I guess the obvious question is, what does all of this mean for India? Well, the broader implication is quite clear. Bangladesh used to be a reliable ally for India. They always kept Pakistan at a distance, but now they're gravitating closer to each other. India's Chief of Defence Staff flagged this new nexus. He said it could pose a challenge to New Delhi.
Similarly, there is a possible convergence of interest we can talk about between China, Pakistan and Bangladesh may have security implications for regional stability and security dynamics.
Now to the specifics. How would such a nexus hurt India? Well, the biggest worry is the northeast. Bangladesh shares a long border with India's northeastern states. If they want to, they can foment trouble. And Yunus is fanning those fears. Consider what he did in China recently. He suggested that India's northeastern states were vulnerable.
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters, they are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy.
Weird thing to say, especially about your neighbor from another neighbor's soil. Clearly, there was malicious intent. This weekend, we saw more of the same. Yunus gifted a book to the visiting Pakistani general, and look at the cover art. It shows a distorted map of Bangladesh. Why distorted? Because it includes parts of India's northeast. Surely this is not some accident. State gifts are discussed and deliberated for long. It's impossible that no one flagged this issue. So there's a good chance it was done on purpose. And India should be ready for this challenge. In the past, this border has been a security nightmare for India, whether it's weapon smuggling or drug smuggling or illegal migration or even infiltration. The only good news is this: a new government will be elected in Dhaka in February. Perhaps they will be more pragmatic in their approach. Until then, expect the lame duck to keep flapping. Now let's talk about an interesting trend from India. It was once seen as a market. India was once seen as a market for mass brands and bargain deals. But now India is emerging as a hub for global luxury. You see, sales are volatile in China and Europe. Global brands are redrawing their maps, and India is right at the center. Let's look at the numbers. India's luxury goods market is growing. It is projected to grow by 10% this year. By the end of 2025, it will touch $12.1 billion. That makes India one of the fastest growing luxury markets in the world, in the same club as South Africa and the UAE. And these numbers tell a story beyond sales and statistics. It's not just about what people buy or how much of it. It's about how they live. Luxury in India is evolving, and a new consumer is driving this shift. Young, global, and curious. And this is not just about handbags or watches. Experiential luxury is leading this boom. We're talking about fine dining, luxury holidays, and exclusive events. Younger consumers want more than possessions. They want experiences. They want memories, not just merchandise. So what's driving this surge? Well, 3 things broadly. Number 1, growing wealth. India now has more than 9 lakh millionaires. That's 39,000 more than last year. The growing economy is creating a new class of affluent consumers. They want brands that match their success. Reason number 2 is rising aspirations. India's young and affluent generation has grown up in a connected world. They follow global trends in real time. They've seen luxury online, and now they want to live it. Reason number 3, changing attitudes. Indians are spending differently. They're no longer just purchasing a product, they're buying into a lifestyle. And that is changing how global brands sell. The change is visible not just in stores, but also on the roads. Premium and luxury cars have seen a surge in sales in India. I'll give you an example. Last year, Lamborghini had its best year ever in India. It sold more than 110 cars. Mercedes Maybach saw a 145% jump in sales, and all of this is happening at a crucial time. Like I said, luxury sales in China have been volatile. There's economic uncertainty, there are concerns around inflation, and this has weighed on consumer spending. which is why global brands are turning to India. They're looking for stability and growth. Look at the last 2 years. Reports say 27 global brands have entered India in this period. Beauty giants like Estee Lauder and Japan's Shiseido reportedly plan local manufacturing in India. So India is not just a market to sell in, it's also a place to invest, produce and grow. And that explains why Indian stars are becoming the face of global luxury brands. But we say India's luxury story is still evolving. Its market is growing fast. Having said that, it's still a fraction of China's. Reports indicate China's luxury goods market is projected to reach over $65 billion by the end of this year. India, by comparison, will be around $12 billion. So the opportunity is real. But so are challenges like limited retail space. And yet the world is watching India closely because while China remains the biggest luxury market, India is now the fastest growing one, a shift that is rewriting global strategies, quietly but decisively. In India, cricket means pride. It's the one sport that we virtually run. It's also the one sport that we ace on the pitch. Our cricket headlines are the envy of the world, whether it's $1 million IPL contract or $1 billion club valuation. But over the weekend, we saw a different sort of headline, a headline that should make every Indian embarrassed. 2 Australian cricketers were stalked and molested in Indore. Imagine that, 2 international athletes, 2 guests of India molested on the streets of our country. First, let me tell you what happened. As you would know, India is hosting the Women's One-Day World Cup. 8 teams are fighting it out for the crown. Last week, Australia faced South Africa in Indore. The match was on Wednesday, and this incident happened on Thursday. 2 Australian cricketers decided to walk from their hotel to a cafe. They were followed by a man on his bike. Both of them sensed that something was off, so they shared their location with their security manager. A few minutes later, the players called him up. They said the man had touched one of them inappropriately. And when they resisted, he fled. Soon the team arrived at the location. They escorted the 2 players back to their hotel. Later, the police got involved. They nabbed the assaulter by the end of the day. But our story does not end here. In fact, it only starts here. The Indian Cricket Board has condemned what happened. Let me quote from their statement. This is what the BCCI said. This is a deeply regrettable and isolated incident. India has always been known for its warmth, hospitality, and care towards all guests. We maintain a zero tolerance policy towards such acts. So the Indian board is calling it an isolated incident. But is it? Sexual harassment is far from isolated. It's a daily reality for many women. And yes, foreign tourists are targeted too. In 2023, almost 240 crimes against foreigners were logged. That's 24% up from the year before, and 27 of them were of rape. This year, we've seen multiple such cases. In the month of March, an Israeli woman was gang raped in Karnataka. That same month, a British woman was raped in Delhi. It's happening too often, when even one case is one too many. And we get what the Indian Cricket Board is trying to say. They're saying that most Indians are not like this, that most places in India are safe. And yes, that is true. But when these headlines go out, the damage is already done. Imagine you're an Australian woman reading this news. You're not an international cricketer. You don't have a security team. You don't have the resources of Australia's cricket board. So what would be going on in your mind? If this can happen to them, what chance do I have? May as well travel somewhere else. And data backs it up. Think back to what happened in late 2012. India witnessed one of its worst rape cases. A woman was gang raped on a moving bus in New Delhi. She eventually succumbed to her injuries. It was a top story across world media. Thousands of Indians hit the streets in protest and outrage. Do you know what happened the next year? Foreign tourism fell 25% in the first quarter of 2013, and the number of female tourists was down by 35%. So India needs to address this crisis, and now is the time to do it. India is hosting the 2030 Commonwealth Games. We are also bidding for the 2036 Olympics. These are multinational events with thousands of athletes, so safety is non-negotiable. And frankly, it should not matter what event we are hosting. Safety should be non-negotiable anyway, for Indians, for foreign travelers, for everyone. I'm sure those Australian players came to India with hope and joy. It's a shame that they will leave with this trauma.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
When he said that the state governments will also have to cooperate with the Election Commission on the SIR issue, and I think that was a hint being made at the West Bengal government where it's become a political issue. In fact, taking on the Election Commission, in some cases kind of attacking the EC officials, that seems to have been the hallmark of much of the attempts which has been made by the SIR. So they're saying that, you know, the entire purpose of this SIR is not because we want to target any one political party or any one particular state, and even if they happen to be in the opposition. He made that point when he said that, you know, there has been a lot of political comments and I don't want to comment on that. So what is the point over here is that the entire purpose of this revision is to ensure that one, people's names are there on the voters list, those who are eligible for it, and second, if there's a multiplicity where, you know, one person is registered in 2-3 addresses, or many people are registered to one address, those who even expired, those who have got married into another family and migrated to another states, their names are also not duplicated onto a voters list, and this is an exercise which has to be carried on periodically. So where is the politics in all of this? But as you pointed out, Ayushman, I can see through the list that there are states like Kerala, West Bengal, and those are the states where, and Tamil Nadu, of course, where all three of them are happening to be poll-bound states for 2026. If this is one issue which really brought the entire India bloc together, which we saw in the monsoon session of Parliament, it was a SIR. So we'll have to wait to see, one, during the winter session of Parliament, if this is going to be taken up yet again, another issue. And the second important thing is that does the India bloc now plan to unite once again to come out with a campaign or movement across the country against this fresh SIR?
Absolutely, because the states involved were quite outliers when it comes to multiple issues that would hit the India bloc, the DMK as well as the TMC. We always saw issue-based support in having a united front with the India bloc. But could this unite those kind of power players when it comes to India politics? And Kamalika, coming to you on that point, the TMC, so many questions being posed about West Bengal to the Chief Election Commissioner. Currently, we're also learning that the Bengal CEO has called for an all-party meeting for the smooth functioning of the SIR exercise. What are the rumblings that you are learning from the state of West Bengal, which has pretty much declared war against the special intensive revision?
Oh, it's rumbling all around. Let me first tell you that as we pointed out, tomorrow is the day when there will be all-party meeting in ECI, where right now I am standing, Bengal Chief Electoral Officer office. Here, all-party meeting has been called off by the Bengal CEO. So all the political parties will come, and obviously they will actually present their version of it. But clearly, this is, though, you know, almost of the questions were regarding West Bengal, and the CEC Gyanesh Kumar, he said that the law and order is a state subject, and obviously this type of situation will not arise. But politically, clearly, the state's ruling party, they are opposing SIR. None other than the Chief Minister has said that SIR is a sort of NRC. All these types of statements have been on, and as the SIR has just been rolled out, has just been declared, it's quite clear that the Trinamool Congress, nowhere they are going to change their stand. They are saying that if bona fide voters' names are deleted, they are going to go and do everything for that. So they have already lined up rallies and meetings. They will definitely attend this all-party meeting and will actually try to weigh the water, what's actually happening. But the perception from the ruling party is clear. They are going to oppose it at any cost. On the other hand, the big development always is also on the other side, that the BJP, they are absolutely supporting the entire process of SIR. SIR. They are on their point that 1 crore, more than 1 crore voters' names will be deleted, and there it will be proved that West Bengal, a lot of voters are from outsiders. There are a lot of fake voters and all these things. So the political war is on. The political war of the Battle of Bengal of 2026 has just started, and the rumblings is that definitely Trinamool Congress, they are not going to support SIR in any way. On the other hand, the BJP is going to support. Now we'll have to see how all this implementation takes on ground. What are the number of BLOs which goes out for them to give the enumeration form? What happens when they goes out in each and every house? They will go 3 times. So, everything is there, everything is said, but the big question definitely is the implementation part. Politics in one side will go on, but what happens on ground practically, that is to be seen, because the rumblings are on, because the reactions, very strong reactions in the implementation, before the implementation of SIR. Right. So this type of strong reactions will be coming. That's what is expected from Bengal.
Absolutely, and given the history of political violence in Bengal, which is why pretty much so many questions were being posed about the SIR exercise in the state. And Neetu, when it comes to Kerala, let's talk about the SIR exercise. Kerala, one of the 12 states where the SIR will kick off. Several of the reporters who were reporting for the local media in Kerala pointed out about the local body polls and even the fact that the local election commissioner recommended the postponement of the SIR exercise. Ganesh Kumar made it extreme.
Trump 2.0 has been more chaotic than Trump 1.0. But do you know what could be worse? Trump 3.0. That's right, we haven't even started 2026 yet, but Americans have started talking about 2028 already, as if their campaigns weren't long enough. This time, all the talk is about Donald Trump. Will he run again, even though he can't legally run? If he won't run, will he become vice president? Frankly, I think a third term is more likely than a vice presidency, because Trump is not the kind to play second fiddle. At least the internet is having fun with it.
You could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsel do your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. Leaders at the ASEAN summit sing happy birthday to Brazilian President Lula. The new Irish president impresses crowds with her football skills. And Day of the Dead celebrations open with a parade of skeletons in Mexico City. Finally, we're taking you back in history. On this day in 1978, Egypt's Anwar Sadat and Israel's Menachem Begin won the Nobel Peace Prize. They were honored for their groundbreaking peace talks. The talks led to the Camp David Accords and later a historic peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. We're leaving you on that note. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest